Hello,
So,
again, from the
good evening.
Motorhalle.
Hi. So, welcome again to the next video of our disCONNECTED series, in which we try to introduce the artists of the exhibition disCONNECTED, which will be opened in Motorenhalle in Dresden at the end of October of 2020.
28, sorry to interrupt you.
Exactly, October 28. So we originally wanted to open the show in the beginning of this year in April, but due to COVID-19 we had to delay it, and we want to use the time gap in between the original opening day and the real opening day now by introducing the artists to the public. And we do that usually by just framing the works with, let's call it maybe chapters in which the artworks of the different artists are grouped together. This is, of course, nothing really scientifically reliable. It's referring to our concepts, and so it's not so easy to say a special artist belongs to a special group or a special topic, and in this open system we simply try to create some orientation points. Today we are talking about memory and its, be it education, be it mediation into society, so the question how far memory can be brought back into the focus of discourse, also in reference to contemporary situations, evolutions, difficulties, and that's what we want to start to talk about today.
Yeah, and we will have two artists. It's Farooq Adnan, we will have later today here. And well, I'm happy the next artist is sitting next to me. It's still yourself. Maybe we start first with the question. You're also the curator of the show and also the artist, but I think also an artist in the exhibition, but I think art is always kind of dialogue with the people who see the art, but artworks itself also can go into a dialogue. And I think the topic itself from the exhibition, it's a hard topic for you. And I think this is why you choose a lot of the artists. And so it has also a little bit to do with your main interests in art, I would say. Is it correct?
Definitely. Well, you can call it maybe a little bit egoistic what I have done, because for sure my artistic interests also shape my interest in what I find as other artists' positions around me, and my artistic interest also brought me to the idea to curate an exhibition with a broader topic which brings up many more questions than those ones I am dealing on. But yeah, it's pure curiosity to be together in dialogue, in discourse with these artists, and to see what happens when I arrange a meeting of artistic positions that are in their case also always in discourse with society. Because I think it's my deepest opinion that if you are an artist, you're always connected to society, and even if you avoid to be visible in social discourses, that's a position within society.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like you give the introduction, like you put, or we put with this series like a red line to the artworks or to the topic of the exhibition. I mean, there's not only one red line, everybody can go. And for sure, we all have it, and now you give a possibility to go with us. Also to a red line to your topics, to your interest, to your focus. Maybe we can start a little bit in general, that you explain what's your main focus, your main interest what you deal in your artworks and where it comes from.
Yeah, well, two main focuses of the artworks I have been doing during the last, let's say roughly 30 years indeed, is to discuss aspects of violence and how it goes into society and how it is brought into art history and into the collective memory. Admittedly, during the first 20 years of that work, I did not really think about it. It just was an important part of the topics I was working on. And the other main focus for me right now is to question how far images can cross cultural borders and be understood in transcultural contexts.
And I think identity is also important point for you, and also, okay, it's connected with the violence topic, trauma test.
Of course. I think identity is connected to that deeply in the way how, for example, here in Germany we are still dealing or not dealing with the memory of the Second World War, for example, and the trauma implemented into each family. And I also think that aspects of creativity and of artistic work and thoughts are still deeply connected to that, even if we don't reflect it ourselves as artists.
And you almost spoke about cross-cultural things. Maybe you can say in which countries you traveled as an artist and where you find cross-cultural things, what you mean actually with cross-culture, that you give us a little bit more an idea about that.
Well, indeed, it started when I got the possibility to go to Afghanistan as an archaeological draftsman in 2009. And when I got into a discussion with our Afghan colleagues about their current situation 30 years after the invasion of the Soviet troops in 1979, I just said, well, we in Germany also had a 30 years war, but quite a long time ago, and maybe it would be reasonable to think about our own history just to understand better what's happening in a completely different cultural context today, and to revise our own opinion about Afghanistan, maybe in this context. And that became a big part of my artistic and also scholarly work until 2015. And it still goes into my work. So what I do with partners on one side from Afghanistan and Pakistan, but also with an indigenous painter from South America, from Ecuador, and with other artists, for example, from China, is to give them images with a martial background, for example, from German history, and to ask them to work with those images and to interpret them according to their own aesthetic and cultural values. So just to start with an example, this work is an etching done in 1648, I suppose, by a German artist called Hans Ulrich Frank. And it seems to be a direct screenshot, so to say, from reality in the 30 Years' War. In fact, it isn't, but that's another story. I don't want to refer to it too much. But this image was given to several artists by me during the last 4 years. And every time I promised them to buy the artwork they were developing on the basis of this etching, but I asked them to develop the work according to their own criteria of quality and aesthetics. And for example, and that's why we have that painting here, this is what came out of it from the hand of an Ecuadorian painter called Cesar Fausto Uxacuyo. And he is a great example for what can happen if you really transfer the scenery into something different. Because when I met him after he had worked on the painting for several weeks, I almost wasn't able to find the scenery from the Hans Ulrich Frank image because it's just here. And it's really brought into context of South American indigenous natural religion and folk festival sceneries with musicians and mask-wearing dancers with references to Catholic Church, etc., etc. So it's really, it's not the center anymore. It's something happening in the context of his cultural background. And it would go too deep into the painting to start to explain all the symbols and details, but it's a great example to show what can happen to images when they change background, so to say.
Let me ask how much time you take to explain the original picture to the artist, or how you start the relationship, how you find, for example, the artist where we see the artwork here, that we can get a little bit the idea of the process, how you are working. It's just meeting randomly via like online platform, like meet new friends, something like that, and then just give the picture and like an working proposal and paint the image for me, and then you get money? Or is it more that you go in a long conversation, you select, or how you do it?
Well, indeed, I had some weeks in Ecuador when I was creating and preparing an exhibition in Quito. And in this time, I was just walking around also in the arts and crafts market of the city, just interested in seeing what happens in contemporary fine arts, but as well in arts and crafts. And you find lots of artists and artisans doing reproductions of famous Ecuadorian painting of the last 50 years, and also lots of quite touristic products. And in the middle of all those artisans and artists, I found a place where he sold his works, and he also deals with those touristic takeaway things. But he, in the same time, had his very personal artistic line visible in his shop. And so I asked him about his interest in joining the project. What I do not do usually is to explain the exact background of the artwork I am asking the artisan to deal with, because if you explain all the details, then it takes away the freedom from the artist's imagination. And that's what interests me a lot also, to see what information do you get purely from the image itself.
So at least you create like a setting for the foreign view.
Exactly.
You would say it's like an experiment what you are doing in that way?
I think it is, because I'm totally curious about the cultural misunderstandings also. I usually have my own ideas about what might come out of the project, and of course I have my expectations, but the points when it starts to become really interesting is when my expectations are not met because something different happens. And exactly in this case, for example, something happened which also happened with the same image in the context of Afghan carpet makers and Pakistani truck painters. they do not see that this is a soldier following an old man in his nightshirt, which is the original cultural background of the graphic. They see it as a sexual assault between a young soldier and a young woman, which is, in this case, really aggressively approached, and he's already tearing away her shirt and skirt. So this is, for example, something that usually happens with this image. And in the South American indigenous version, you can also see exactly this constellation.
Okay, then it's like transferring really to a woman what is visible. But then also now the question, when you get the images, the interpretation, I would say, do you ask then the artist a lot that you have the possibility to understand that then they're not getting, again, maybe a misunderstanding, so you know maybe a lot of the details in that picture, in this painting, what this means?
I try to do that usually. In the beginning, in the first works, I didn't, and that was always a missing link, so to say. But now, during the last cooperations, I always do. I try to make a video of the artisans and artists explaining their thoughts and their ideas about the work. And in his case, it was really amazing, because when I came to see the work, I just asked him to explain something to me, and he started to talk until I interrupted him and told him, well, please let me come back tomorrow with a video camera, and we will do that on video for 30 minutes, because it was simply incredible what happened. And so when I show this work, it will not be part of the disCONNECTED exhibition, it's just an example here. But when I show it, I usually show the video of the painter explaining his work as well.
Maybe before we go then to the next artist, and you are a little bit more than on my side, not as the artist, more than the interviewer. Is there something, because you spoke about misunderstanding, but is there some understanding in the picture where you can say, this is completely clear, this is something what, because the exhibition or the topic of everything is not only about misunderstandings, as well about things what we understand, without any borders, maybe?
Well, I think the question of violence in general is something that is always understood, and in this case, as the cultural context of this indigenous painter is strongly influenced by Western and Christian cultural contexts, he refers to that as well. So you can say it's a logical coincidence, so to say, because the etching comes from Christian Europe 400 years ago, and now he recontextualizes it also with some Christian aspects. But this comes together. But in his work, it's extremely interesting to see how much he added. In fact, he just broadened up the whole thing. So you cannot really say he misunderstood something, because he recontextualized it into a whole world of indigenous belief and ideas of life.
So it is actually really his work, his own work, where you just give like a little inspiration and motivation.
Sure, I see myself as a artistic partner of him in that case. So it's sort of cooperation always.
Okay. You are ready then to come again on my side as an interviewer, and we are going to the next artist for this show? Okay.
Thank you. Yes, we invited a young artist from Pakistan to join us in the exhibition as well. His name is Farooq Adnan, and he lives in Lahore in Pakistan. and has been working on the memory of history and the memory of cultural history. He sent us a video, which we will show you first. It's called 1 minute, and it's also, indeed, it's 1 minute and 5 additional seconds. And we will just give you this video as something to get a feeling about maybe what might be behind the artistic position before we start to Skype with Farouk directly after the video. So, enjoy. Okay.
Hi, Farouk.
Hello, Farouk. Nice to see you here on Skype now.
Nice to see you too.
And well, we just saw a short video of yours called 1 minute, which you had sent to me already some time ago. And the viewers of our video do not have any explanation about your video up to now. So the first step would be to give the speech to you to talk about yourself, your artistic ideas, and what this video indeed means.
Perfect.
Okay, so maybe just tell us in some sentences about the background of your video and of your work in general.
Yeah, the background is also important. It's creating a main role in my work and my research. It I'm focusing on my hometown, which is very ancient city where my memories belong. So it was like my playground, and my connection with this land is very important. So with my roots as well. So it came. I already working on that unconsciously through my childhood. I was playing there. I was collecting ceramic objects and artifacts, but that time I never knew about this field. So when I started my master's program. So I consciously focus on this side and this study. So where I belong from, my city, my hometown. So it is totally ruined now, the old place of Mount Tulamba, so which is located in southern Punjab in Pakistan. So it this site have very historical significance in it. So it finds me very interesting. to research on it. So to making my connection, which is already exist, but to find more about history of this place. So I was always curious about how this space is like this. So why the space is damaged and demolished. So maybe some floods, maybe some war, or maybe there are many mythologies about this place as well. So yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I would like to add, the place where you come from is indeed about 6,000 years old, right? Because this is a timeline which in Europe we almost cannot imagine, and we only know about Mohenjo-daro or Harappa as places in Pakistan, but it's really beyond imagination to have those city cultures over there. And obviously, this is the background of your city, right?
Yes. Yeah. it, it is very neglected site. It's not under the heritage country heritage. So people own this place. I don't know why. So people are like damaging. They are building their homes there, and this site is obviously connected with Indus Valley civilization, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro as well. So which is located in the bank of River Ravi. So it was a main fort at that time. So history says that this site is belong from Indus Valley civilization, and it was a Hindu town, Hindu Brahmins town. So the name Talamba is also derived from Raja Tul and his queen Amba. So the queen and king, the combination of queen and king, so it makes Talamba. So history, its name changes through history. So sometimes Talamma and sometimes Talman as well. So it was a huge fort in physical structures, which I find it was a huge fort, which was a squarish format, so 200 by 200 feet wide, and it was a 70 feet high minaret in the middle, and the outer rampart, the walls, was very high, and width is also very um, like it's not a normal wall like a fort. So it was a modern structure surrounded by date trees.
Mhm.
In 19
And sorry, yes.
Yeah, sorry. In the 19th century, the Cunningham traveler, so he who visited Talamba, so he described that I found this place is very grandeur and with surrounded date trees. It was a huge, like a forest behind this place, and it was a like in the bank of the river Ravi.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And how do you, as an art, approach the place right now? I think you have some very artistic strategies to deal with the place and with its history. Would you like to tell us something about your own work in reference to Lamba?
In my work divided in in different segments. So first it's history, the stories about this place, some mythologies, and the physical structure uh, and the current environment of this place. I divided that. So some areas I found its outer surface and environment of this place, and it is like called a physical space, so which I deal with this place. And the second part is that the history and my memory about place. I divided this place like in two fragments: physical place and memory experience of the place. In memory experience, so I include my childhood memories as well, and some literature which I found from the history and its connection with other civilizations as well. And I divided this place structurally, which I found many layers of this place through the excavation did by Dr. Rafiq Mughal and Mark Kenoy in 1963. So I found some artifacts and some plans. So this is the one segment, and the other segment is I'm researching on and I'm studying on motifs which I found on ceramic pottery. So these motifs are very ancient. So it's in a repetition. It's in a one format. So I found more than 200 motifs on the ceramics. Yeah, which is like I'm thinking these are the signs and symbols of ancient times. So
And interestingly, you studied miniature painting, right? So you have a background in a, let's call it, very traditional artistic education in Pakistan, but you transform it. Would you like to tell us something about that as well?
yeah, my first degree was in a graphic design, and I was more into that places. I like the historical places always, which I photograph as well. So then I photograph the space interact me, and this space, especially this space Talamba, attract me because I belong from Talamba. So I had a memories in my work, my pen and ink drawings. So I'm connecting these drawings as a design elements in my artistic practice, so in my studio practice as well. So line, dot, triangle, so that diamond shapes and these motifs I picked from ceramic objects, and I redraw on a paper and on a blank canvas. So so the format is not like a same as a I found on terracotta ceramic objects. So it's a different um, application of my imagination about to recognize these elements and in a repetition format. So it's more like more than the repetition. Uh, it's belong to ceramic objects, is that right? So it's these marks creating some kind of imaginary maps about place. So I was imagining these plays, and I'm trying to redraw this place in my own way. Yeah. So these repetition is also kind of catharsis and meditation, and it's also connected the spirituality uh, and the belongings um, to the place, because through marks I'm archiving this place. So these ancient motifs, so which we found in our textile as well and other crafts as well. in these days throughout the history, from the cave time period to our present. So we can these motifs converts into symbolic meanings as well. So because I studied in graphic design, visual communication design is also a part of these signs as well. So these signs are like very communicative, um, which we found in our like communication uh, throughout the history as well. Because that communication is very important throughout the history. Uh, I'm dealing with these motifs as a design objects.
Yeah.
Actually, we speak about a place which is not very known in the world, as I understand it, right? But it's very old. And as I know a little bit, because there are not so many articles about this place, it's like a hidden old place. And can we understand your work a little bit like that you want to protect the memory of these places, because nowadays nobody really cares about it, and as I know, the place is destroyed in a way, so at least it escapes in a way, so it's find a way, this design element, this stuff, what is in your works, to give a possibility that we have some traces, some remembering memories of this place which is going away now in a way.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a psychogeographical process of place to memorize the place and archive through marks. And these marks motives like a character for me to imagine the events which happened at this place. And these characters also symbolized with our current time period as well, and the whole chaos of our world, because we lived in a like a common situations somehow in this planet as well. And I was dealing with this environmental phenomena as well, uh, to memorize that, to imagine that this place should be destroyed with some natural disasters as well, and some maybe the war happened there, because I found many burnt layers of the soil in this place. So it was not very kind of a structural place. It was like a mud and mound of which is like history is embedded in it. So
So
yeah.
maybe just tell us in 2 sentences about the video that we showed in the beginning, because we did not explain it to the public up to now. You know,
Yeah.
the 1 minute video.
Yeah, the 1 minute video is also kind of very interesting for me to make the essence of this present time uh, at the historical place. So it is not, it's more sound piece than a video. So there are many sounds of rural areas, animals and machinery, and people, and their like noises and some clear voices and dog barking, and machine is like running in that. So this whole kind of I'm looking this video as like a time period of like nature to like technology, you can say. uh, so this place is like losing their own identity through times. So people are like in every year people are like making new homes, they are damaging this place, so it's more like it's more like connected with my emotions as well. So I'm uh, trying to symbolize this emotion through a video, this sound piece. Yeah.
Okay, great. Farooq, thank you so much. I think we could talk for much longer time right now, but we will keep some things to discover for the public when they come to see our exhibition with your works. And so for now, just thank you so much for sharing your time with us and making all of us curious to see what you will bring for disCONNECTED in October.
Yes,
Okay.
perfectly. I'm glad I talked with you, and it's great honor for me to talk about my town and my connections and my history as well, because it's very important to record this thing, to show with other people, and this site is neglected site.
Okay.
So it's my responsibility as an artist
Yeah.
to
Mm.
work on it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank
See you in October.
thank you
Yeah.
so much. Until bye
See you.
bye.
See
Yeah,
you. Bye bye.
ciao.
See
Have a
you.
good time. Ciao.
Good luck. Okay, Farooq. So thank you so much for all the information you gave us. And so we are almost at the end of this video tonight. I would like to mention that there was a connection also to an artist which we introduced already some time ago. Davide Giovanzana, director from Helsinki, who was talking to us in the second video we produced.
This was the first one. It's the second, yes.
He is really important also to be mentioned in this context. But now let's just promote the next video, which will be online after 3 weeks from now. This is on, let's call it the aesthetic trap, referring to visual cultures and artistic products which are definitely not what they seem to be. Really fascinating topic. And we invited some artists to be with us for this video as well.
And maybe we are not the same like we are now,
Yeah.
because we also find a way to produce the art in a different way. You should be curious.
Exactly. So look forward to seeing us in discussion with Ulrike Ettinger from Berlin and Oan Fifi from Vietnam next time.
Yeah. So stay tuned.
Bye.
Ciao.
Thanks.